Hey everyone, Jessie here from Jessie on a Journey and Travel Blog Prosperity, back with another travel blogging tutorial. This is an interview from my Profitable Travel Blogger podcast that is going to help you earn an income despite your follower count or your blog numbers. So typically when we talk about working with brands, we're talking about sponsored content collaborations where you're really getting paid for your influence, your sponsored TikToks, sponsored emails, sponsored blog posts, sponsored reels, that type of thing. But did you know there is another type of brand collaboration that isn't dependent on your following? I am talking about user-generated content or UGC collaborations where you are paid as a content creator. You are creating content, but you don't have to post. So it's not all about your influence. To help break this down further, I'll be interviewing Chad Lubinsky of the Outdoor Creator Academy, a course that is all about how to earn through UGC collaborations. Thanks to UGC, Chad has been able to earn up to $10,000 per month and quit his 9-to-5 job. And today, he'll be sharing his best tips to help you do the same. But first, I want to direct your attention to the video description as well as the QR code on your screen where I've shared a link to my free travel blogger resource library. Inside, you'll snag access to 55 plus resources, from cheat sheets to workbooks to workshops to video tutorials that can help you truly turn your blog into a profitable business, and that includes a UGC cheat sheet to pair with today's episode. I am all about implementation, and I really want to make sure that you don't just watch this video and forget about it, but that you actually use what is shared to make your blogging life easier. Feel free to even pause this video to go grab those resources. You back? Then let's dive in. Well, thank you, Chad, so much for taking the time to share your tips. To start, can you just tell us more about yourself, your business, and how you got into UGC?
Yeah, so thanks, Jesse. It's great to come on here to chat with you. And yeah, so I grew up in the Midwest, Wisconsin, moved to Oregon. Now I'm in Wyoming. Essentially, I did the whole thing. I did the graduate college type of thing and went and got a career job for 9 years. Wasn't satisfied with it. Started doing a lot more organic social media work and stuff like that. Well, just personal stuff. Started to kind of blow up, for lack of better terms, I guess. And I realized that, hey, at that time it was about 2022. I was like, man, I could probably do something with this different type of business, right? I don't have to just do a career job. So anyway, back in about 2021, 2022 is when I started to really understand and get into UGC. I didn't even know what it was prior to that. And it wasn't until literally a brand just randomly sent me a electrolyte packets. The brand was called Element. And I loved them, right? And so the first thing I did was I just added it to my story. I said, I was running and I said, oh my gosh, these electrolyte packets are so good. If you like salt, you'll really like these. If you don't like salty stuff, you're not going to like them. That's literally all I said. No fancy edits, nothing. They contacted me a couple weeks later and they said, hey, we love how organic you are on Instagram. Would you be willing to create videos, 10 videos a month for us for, I think it was $1,500 or something like that. And I thought, really? Seriously? Like what I'm already doing, right? I mean, it was so easy to do. And that was my first, that was when UGC was first revealed to me, for lack of a better term. And I really realized that, wow, you don't have to be an influencer to make it on social media.
And I love that. First of all, I think UGC just in general will be new to a lot of people listening. But I also think when working with brands, that's such a frustration. Like, I know I can create amazing content, but my following isn't quite there yet for the more influencer collabs. So I'd love to just start with the basics. What does a typical UGC collaboration look like?
Yeah. So, and I love that you brought up, you kind of touched on there, like they have good content, but they aren't getting recognized by brands for influencer deals. And so I'll kind of take it to how I juxtapose UGC versus influencer collabs. So how I describe it to the students that I have is UGC is short-term and influencers are long-term. And what I mean by this is that if you want short-term cash flow, like you want money right away, you are just getting into the game, UGC is great to target because you can be a relatively unknown person, but you know how to make really good videos, but you don't have a following. But you could contact a brand, show them a portfolio, and they'll pay $150, $200 for a video right there. On the flip side, being an influencer is great too. And I always tell people to still do your organic content and build your own personal brand. It just takes a longer time to do. It's more of a long-term play. So with a lot of people, I always say a 70-30 split UGC to influencer, especially if you want to go full-time with this. Really focus on those UGC collabs first, but still build your brand of influencing in the background. So how UGC collaborations work is typically when you're first starting out, it can be in exchange for a free product. So, say you want some shoes from a brand, and you've been wearing these type of shoes for forever. So you contact the brand and say, hey, I would love to, we can get into this a little bit later because I kind of have this framework of how to do a no-brainer offer. But you kind of, you engage with them a little bit. And then anyway, your first UGC partnerships, a lot of them will be free products is what I'm trying to say. As you go from there, it'll start getting into a combination of paid plus a free product. So it's pretty sweet. You get money plus you get this free product that you don't have to spend your money on. And then what I call the gold standard of UGC collaborations is getting on retainer with this particular company. And what retainer is just what I said this electrolyte company did. They said, hey, we want you to do 10 videos a month for us for X amount of money. And what's nice about this is that you don't have to keep going to pitch brands every single month. So that's why I call it the gold standard. If you can do, depending on your expenses, it's going to look a lot different from Wyoming to New York, right? But depending on your expenses, it could be 2 to 3 to 4 retainers, anywhere from 2 to 4. You can quit your job. And that's what I ended up doing. I quit my career job in January 2023 when I got to 3 retainers. And I could have at 2, but it's a leap of faith.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of almost like the one-off brand partnerships, or like right now I'm a ambassador for travel payouts. So it's that's a long-term contract we renewed. I'm always aiming at, the one-offs are great, but I'm also always aiming for those more long-term sustainable partnerships.
100%. Yep.
So let's say a blogger is interested in getting into the world of UGC collabs. What should they be doing first? And is it like influencer collabs where you create some kind of media kit or portfolio before you get started?
What I tell people to do is offer brands a no-brainer offer is what we call it. So how this begins is, let's say that you have 5 brands that you would love to work with. I tell my people to follow them on Instagram, engage with their content for at least 3 weeks. Okay. So that means commenting, liking, sharing posts. And right? I mean, on your personal Instagram, I'm sure you see the same people popping up or commenting or liking, right? And so you almost feel like you have a type of relationship with that individual. So that's what we're trying to do with the brand, so that you're kind of on their radar. The next thing you want to do is you want to DM them. So this no-brainer offer that I talk about is you're simply just going to say, hey, I would love to make a video with your product because I love it so much. In return, I don't want to get paid. I'm going to make a free video. The only thing I want is analytics for how it did. So, and it's even better if they run it as an ad, because now, prior to doing this, you don't have anybody on your portfolio. So you can't really say that you don't have any case studies for sure. The reason we're doing this is so we can get a case study. So you partnered with this brand. They used it as an ad. They got X amount of impressions. They sold this many products off of that one video that you had. So now you can put that, one, that you worked with this brand in your portfolio, but 2, you have a case study, concrete evidence of what you did, not just here's my video. So you have the case study. It's a no-brainer to them because they're usually shelling out $150 to $400 for a UGC video, depending on who it is. So yeah, there could be a lot of success with that. And then from there, hopefully you're just building that relationship. And like you were saying, it turns into more, not a one-off thing, but more of a retainer type of deal. So that's how we teach people to get their foot in the door with UGC.
Got it. And then once they have that created, how can creators actually find brands to pitch? Should they be reaching out to brands they're already like using the products of, or is there a way to more easily find brands that want UGC?
Yeah. Well, that's a great. So, yes, I always say start with the products that you have around your house that you really like. Now, one caveat with this is you don't, I do a lot of outdoor brands. That's what I teach. So, you don't want to, yeah, you have a bunch of Patagonia laying around, but you don't want to do this with Patagonia because they got how many files? One, they're never going to see your DM, probably. And two, they probably already have a ton of creators. The brands that I recommend targeting are those with less than 15,000 followers. So in other words, these are brands that they haven't established their roots in the outdoor industry is what I am, whether if it's the travel industry, outdoor industry, or whatever, what have you. Less than 15,000 followers seems to be the sweet spot. The other really cool thing with that is they're not as, a lot of the bigger companies will have to be on brand and this and that. Well, you can actually bring a lot of concepts and they'll approve a lot of concepts way easier when it's that smaller type of brand. And so if you find some brands like that, one really good tip to find more brands that are related to that is I use Instagram a lot. So what I do is when you'll go there, you'll see it's like above their stories or it's below their story highlights, somewhere around there, but there's a little drop down arrow, just points down. So if you hit that, it shows other brands that are closely related to the brand that the page that you're on. So that's a really good way to find more brands that are in that 15,000 followers or less niche.
Speaking of pitching, I know this, of course, trips people up a lot. It's something I think people get anxiety over. What are some tips for successfully pitching a UGC collab?
Yeah. So like I said before, you have to have that portfolio. So you have to have some kind of evidence that's backing you up. Secondly, it's going to work in your favor if you genuinely love the product. And I don't know if you've ever read the book called, who's it by? It's by Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Yes.
Yeah. So great book. But one of the things I'll never forget in that book, and I'm paraphrasing, but essentially he had where you're trying to communicate with somebody, you kind of give them at first a lot of compliments on their product. This would be nowadays, but give them a lot of props on their product. And then you want to, in your pitch, you want to bring up why it's going to be valuable for them to partner with you, not where you're trying to get. And that's just very genuine or general marketing tactics there. But it does seem to work. The other thing is like I stated before, just engaging with that account and getting on their radar. Because I can't tell you how many people, and I have, not to toot my own horn, but I have 50 some thousand followers. But I know there's particular people that always are commenting and liking my stuff. And I feel a unique connection to them. So when it comes to that, just think of the brand as an actual human being, because there's actual human beings that are running that company.
I love that you brought up making it clear what both parties get out of it. Because I think even with influencer partnerships, this is something that's missing a lot. I've done a lot of interviews for like my own courses with PR people and brands. And I've asked them like, what really, makes you look at a pitch and say like, absolutely not. And one thing for sure is this is what I want you to give me. Like, not like, what are we both getting out of it? So I love that tip.
Off of that too, Jesse, before you go to the next question that's a really good thing to do. And I would recommend people do that with the UGC brands that they're working with. I've learned a ton from the brands that I've worked with by just simply straight up asking them before we even had a collab or once we signed the contract saying, hey, what are the things that really aggravate you about working with UGC creators? And I make sure to not do that. And in addition to that, one thing that I will do is in a UGC collab, especially how you were saying, instead of just one-off deals, you want to get on retainer with them. One very valuable tip is to obviously over-deliver. But okay, what does that specifically look like with UGC? Well, what that could look like is saying, hey, I included a couple, 3 free pictures here. for you guys that whether that's a screen grab from your video or it's just an easy picture that you took, dude, that's just so simple that you can do to keep developing that relationship. So just think about things out of the box like that. And brands really, really appreciate that because a lot of people are just, well, I'll back up. The number one thing that brands have said that they hate is people just not delivering on time or not following instructions with the delivery. That's their number one thing. So if you are able to deliver your content before the delivery date, you're already ahead of 90% of the creators that they've hired for that particular campaign. So you're already sticking out. So that in addition to the over delivering is a good tip, I think.
So let's say a creator connects with a brand who is interested in working with them on UGC content. How should they, or how much should they be charging per post? And do you have any tips for setting rates? I know this is something that also gets pretty confusing for people.
Yeah. So I would say when you're first getting into it, just be happy with that free product. Just do that to get enough under the belt that you have a portfolio that would be worth giving to a bigger brand. And the flip side to that is you probably don't want to partner with a big brand right away when you've only done one UGC video ever, because it's just, frankly, you don't have the experience to blow that particular brand out of the water. So you keep getting that experience. So free product for your first few collabs for sure. I would say that what I have found, at least it was true last year, the average UGC rate was about $150 a video. So that scale goes from about 150 to about 400 a video. So anywhere from there is what I think is perfect. And again, but you also want to, because I've also talked to brands too, where they've said, these people are quoting me at such a high rate. They're like, and so in my mind, I have to figure out, okay, what is the ROI that they're going to get from this video? I want to at least give them a good, I don't want them to feel like I just drug them through fire to pay me for this video, right? So, anywhere after the free product phase, if you're charging 150 to 200, I think you're totally good because, depending on what they use it for, organic ads or anything like that, they're going to be making up their money for sure, especially if it's a larger product.
And when you say per video, is it like a vertical video, and about how long is that video?
Yeah, well, I've had brands go, we want an 8 to 12 second video. 8 to 12 seconds, right? Yeah, that's literally like, I have it in a brief. 8 to 12 seconds is the sweet spot, is what we're looking for. Typically, most brands for UGC, I would say 90% of brands don't want anything over 30 seconds. So,
ooh.
Yeah, so it's not a long video. The funny thing is I was talking to our mutual friend, Nick Wilson there, and I was like, man, the other day a brand sent me a massage gun thing, and they wanted me to do a YouTube video review on it. Well, they paid me the same amount of money. I quoted them because I had less followers. They quoted me the same amount of money for that YouTube video as a UGC video would have been. But it took me all day to create this YouTube video that was 6 minutes long or something. So when you put that into context, it is not even comparable to the amount of time you're spending to create something like this. And then in addition, a lot of the times, another quick tip is a lot of the times the products that you're using are likely on Amazon. Okay. And so what I'll do is, as an extra bonus to the brand, but also to make even more affiliate income, is to put this on my Amazon storefront, which then goes on to that Amazon Inspire app. And I tell them it's free exposure for your product. I'll do it for free. But then I'm also getting, affiliate from that too. So so I kind of lump that all into that. But yeah, man, I mean, when you compare it to a YouTube video, oh my God, like it's so much easier.
Yeah. And I do the Amazon Influencer Storefront. What's Amazon Inspire app? I don't know if I even know what that is.
Well, I think when you put your videos on the storefront, they will go into, so do you have the Amazon app? If you have the Amazon app, you can look at it And when you go into it, there's a little play button and it'll come up. Yeah. So what this is you can go in there and you can select your category. I'm in hiking a lot. So I hit hiking and a lot of UGC videos will be there. Okay. So you can scroll through there and then it's essentially it's like TikTok shop type of thing where you can watch the video. They're talking about a product. Sometimes they're not even a hard pitch, but you can buy the product from that directly.
Wow. So then with the UGC content you create for brands, can you typically like they're okay with you resharing it, say on Amazon or even maybe on like your own channels for promotion?
Oh yeah. I mean,
with affiliate links?
Oh yeah, they love that. They love it because you think about it. It's just more exposure for them. A lot of times they'll be like, hey, if you want to share it on your your feed, that's cool too. Most of the time I don't do it on my personal feed, but if it's an Amazon product, I'll definitely throw it in there. So yeah,
love that. Now, when it comes to influencer collaborations, I always recommend creators make a rate card that includes different packages and add-on deliverables to help increase what they earn for a campaign. And by the way, to anyone listening or watching, I'll have a link to a rate card template product I offer in the show notes or video description. But is there a way to do this with UGC collaborations too?
You can do this in a few different ways with UGC. You can offer your raw footage. So raw unedited videos. And to be honest with you, a lot of brands are looking just for raw unedited footage because now they can put it into whatever variation they want. They can edit it however many variations they want to. But you can add raw footage. You can do hook variations with that. And another thing that I like to do is package deals. So, hey, here's my summer social special. So I'll do 3, UGC videos and we'll give you 2 hook variations for each one, plus the raw footage. And you can put whatever quote it is you want for that. But yeah, just a real easy way instead of a one-off $200 UGC. Hey, I'll offer you all this extra stuff. We can partner maybe for 3 months because like you said, you never know. Or actually, I was talking with a marketer this morning, and they were like, "Well, we do a minimum of 3 month collab," and that's great because if you're only making one UGC video for them, you've probably tested ads before. How many ads? Yeah. The first ad that you do is the best one. It's usually not. So usually you need those variations to test and to form that trust with the brand and let them know that, hey, maybe this piece of content didn't work, but this one did. So packages are a really good way to do that.
When you say hook variations, are you sort of like recording your opening like few seconds a few different times, like just that opening bit?
Exactly. Yeah. In fact, I just had a brand that was actually, they wanted a quote for that, was actually a UGC video plus raw footage plus the 2 more hook variations out of it. So you'll get brands that really start to understand this too. And so they'll just come right out and ask you for that too. But if not, you can always pitch it as well.
Now, another part of negotiating with brands is contract terms. So what are some contract terms that UGC creators should make sure are or aren't included?
One thing to do is you want to control F, which is control find, on that contract and look for the word perpetuity. Okay, that's one of them. So perpetuity just simply means, hey, and this just happened to that brand that I just said gave me asked for that quote. They had a perpetuity clause in there, which just simply meant, or it said, hey, we can use your content in perpetuity, which is just forever. Why is bad is obviously, you can probably imagine why it's bad, but if you switch brands 5 years down the road, but then X brand is still using your photos and your likeness and your videos, you look like a pretty big fraud. So it's damaging to your brand. So that's perpetuity. So get that one out of there. They were totally cool with that. Another thing is people think, hey, if I push back on the brand's contract, they're just not going to partner with me. I haven't had that issue. Every time I've asked for perpetuity to be removed, they've removed it. The next thing is exclusivity. So if you're again, we go back to a shoe brand and they say, hey, you can't partner with another shoe brand for 30 days and 90 days or something like that. Like 30 days to me really isn't that big of a deal. But if it's a year, I mean, that's something that you definitely got to be aware of. So that's one thing that you could get negotiated out of there too. The last thing that I would say is, especially for outdoor creators and travel creators, is the due date for deliverables. I'm sure you've seen this. They go, hey, 1 week after you receive the product, you need to have X, Y, and Z uploaded to the Google Drive. And as a travel creator, and especially if you're living in New York or something, you might not have the best weather to go and film that product in the best way that you know you could in the best weather. And so one thing that I tell outdoor creators is, guys, I really believe it should be a minimum of 2 weeks that you're asking for this, unless it's, you can do it in a week, but minimum of 2 weeks, try to renegotiate that. And especially if you're working a full-time job, which a lot of people are still doing that, don't be afraid to push back on that, because if not, you're going to create really bad content just to get it to them, and then it's just not going to work out.
Yeah, those are such good tips. I know I spoke with a lawyer once, and I mentioned this tip in another episode that was about licensing and selling photos, but I'll say it again. For anyone who lives anywhere, but especially in a big city, you probably have access to really amazing free resources that you don't know about. Like in New York City, we have access as small businesses to 30 minutes a month of free legal advice. So I can actually go meet with a lawyer 30 minutes a month for free. It's through something called NELP. Oh my gosh, last time I tried to say this word, I think it's Neighborhood Entrepreneurial Law Project.
Really? Wow.
But yeah, so I showed him a contract that said, I think in perpetuity or something like that. Yeah, in perpetuity, I think it was. And he was like, imagine this brand has a big scandal and now your face is on their Instagram. Like, you never want to do that for that reason too.
Great. Yep.
But I'm curious for exclusivity. Do you ever do it but just charge extra for it?
Yeah, that's something else you could do too. If they're not willing to remove from the contract or something, yeah, absolutely. Yep. So I haven't really seen exclusivity come up a lot in outdoor contracts for whatever reason. And when they do, I don't know, I just never really had that much of an issue with it, I guess, because I probably still wouldn't, partner with a brand that was that closely related to them anyway, like on my own volition. But yes, absolutely. You could, if they wanted to keep it in there, yeah, put a bigger charge on that. The other thing is if they're going to use it for ads, I also will charge more if they're saying that, hey, we're going to use it for ads, because I mean, they're making money off my content. So I should get either a percentage of that or just an extra flat fee.
100%. Yeah. I know. I actually really like when they ask for exclusivity, because I'm like, ooh, upcharge.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. Well, for the more influencer, I've only done, honestly, UGC a few times. I'm talking more the influencer thing. So I don't know if it's a little bit different, but yeah, the exclusivity, I'm always like, that's technically another deliverable.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah, that's a great thing to know. Yep.
Yeah. And especially like if it's a brand where it, like, let's say you always work with hiking shoe brands.
Yeah.
If them working with you for like 3 months is going to keep you from potential other work, that's how I look at it too. There might be some types of brands where you're like, oh, I've never worked with a brand like this before, and it wouldn't really make a difference. But then there's some brands, like I'm working with a brand right now where it's a type of brand I work with all the time, and they wanted exclusivity. So it was like, okay, well, this actually would,
yes,
influence my income.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how I think about the exclusivity thing. And if you have access to any of these things in New York City, NELP, I'm sure there are small business associations and things in other places. Bring your contract to those places and say, hey, they're not going to be able to sit down with you probably and like write a contract, but they can probably look through yours and point out terms that you should know or you should think about. And you could, keep that in mind for the future. Now, let's say a creator has landed the collaboration and agreed upon a rate with the brand, and now they need to start creating. What are your top tips for creating engaging UGC content that brands love?
So I think there's a tried and true way that you can think about as a framework for your UGC video. And that just comes down to a hook, problem solution, I add in reviews, and then a CTA at the end. Now, these are very cookie cutter, I think, UGC videos, but a lot of brands are frankly, they're looking for this type of stuff. With the hook, we kind of described what that is. First 3 seconds or less than 3 seconds, you're hooking the individual that's watching into watching the rest of the content. With the problem, what is the problem that the individual might be experiencing that would need the product? Then you got the solution that the product does. The reviews, I say, hey, with these, I will include if they have these bunch of 5-star Amazon reviews or whatever, hey, this is what other people are saying. And then a CTA to go to their website or whatever. Typically, the brand will tell you, hey, what CTA they want. Now, that's one way to do a UGC video. But the cool thing with UGC videos is that as a creator, you can be super creative with your UGC stuff and you can make it humorous. I mean, there was one guy that sticks into my mind, and we keep talking about shoe brands, but apparently that's just on top of mind for me right now. But he goes, or they were in Gingy socks, which are those toe socks. And he says, he starts it off where, yeah, and Gingy contacted me, like the greatest ultra runner in the world, which he like is a total climber. So it doesn't really make any sense, right? So that it was kind of humorous that, so sometimes you got to get the brand to sign off on things like that. But a tried and true solution is the framework that I told you. The other thing is when you're filming your UGC videos, I like to switch my shots about every 2 seconds. I mean, that just seems to be where culture is right now in terms of viewing reels. So I like switching those shot angles every 2 seconds. It looks a lot more dynamic. So that could be a blend between having a foreground shot and a mid-range shot, a close-up shot, a top-down shot, all this different things that you're showing the product. I really love doing that. And then I like doing a blend between a voiceover and then talking to the camera. So in other words, it would be one where maybe I'm holding my phone like this, or I have it on a tripod and I'm talking about the product. And then others where I'm basically showing the B-roll of the product, but I'm voicing that over. And so again, just the more dynamic you can get with your video, it seems to perform better. It seems to lead to higher engagement. The other thing too, I guess this is more for influencer collaborations, is I've been noticing that giveaways do really, really well at the end of so like I did basically a UGC / influencer collab in the framework that I stated before. But at the end of it, my CTA was, hey, leave a comment below to enter into this giveaway. And then they were giving away free shirts. And that engaged really well for the first time that I dropped it. Because you know how most ads that people see on social, a lot of times they're just swiping by them. But these giveaways were really powerful. So that could be a direction that I'm thinking about to do with more brands, at least in the influencer collabs.
Well, Chad, thank you so much for taking the time to share your tips. Before we sign off, can you just let everyone know where we can find you?
Yes. So the academy that I teach is called the Outdoor Creator Academy. And that is for outdoor creators specifically that are trying to either just make this a full-time income or have it on the side as in accordance with their 9-to-5 too. So, and if you want to work from home, I mean, like I said, I created this because I worked for 9 years out of college, and that was way too long in a career job where I had to commute and I could only hike on the weekends. I had 48 hours off and I had to work then 5 days a week again and 2 weeks of vacation, and it was terrible. So that's why I created it. It shows you how to do UGC videos. We also include there how to grow your brand. So influencer collabs as well. So it's kind of a two-prong academy there. So yeah, I have a free 1 hour live training. Well, it was live when I did it, but a 1 hour training that goes over all of the questions Jesse asked, but it goes into that even more specifically, how to, like with the no-brainer partnership, the brands that you want to target from, so all of that type of stuff. And then there's a Q&A at the end. So if you wanted to share that with your audience, that'd be cool. But yeah, otherwise you can find me at Chattahoochee _ on Instagram, TikTok, and on YouTube, it's Chad Lubinsky. So
amazing. And I'll have all of that linked in the show notes and the video description for anyone watching on YouTube. All right, now I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you feel inspired and empowered to start earning an income through UGC collaborations. Also, don't forget to grab access to the free Travel Blogger resource library that I've linked in the show notes or via the QR code on your screen. There are a ton of resources in there that can help you grow your community and increase your blogging profits, and that includes a UGC cheat sheet based on today's episode. And of course, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss future videos sharing these strategies for bloggers who want to turn their blogs into profitable full-time businesses. Happy blogging!